I never wanted to be a farmer. I just wanted a tractor. Welcome to Fab to Fun. My name is Logan, and today we're going to talk about utility class tractors. The reason I want to talk about utility class tractors is because my AGCO ST35 is kind of in the mid-range for compact tractors, and it's not heavy enough, it's not wide enough, it doesn't feel stable enough on the hillsides that I'm operating on 99% of the time, and it has R4 tires, and I kind of might have messed up the four-wheel drive a little bit. Not really sure what the problem is there, but the four-wheel drive doesn't want to stay engaged. That being said, I started looking at some newer tractors and started comparing those. The video that I made in making all these comparisons, when I go back and watch it, which it's already made now, as I go back and watch it, I start to realize that I was trying to compare all these different specs, but when it boiled down to whether or not I wanted to pick the tractor, it was what kind of reputation does the dealer have? What kind of reputation does the brand have? Yeah, the specs, it has to be a minimum. It's got to be an improvement over what I've got. I've got to have R1 tires. It's got to be four-wheel drive. It has to have a loader. I prefer a shuttle shift. So those are the things I'm looking for, and those are pretty easy to find in a utility class tractor. Now, those weights and how they compare, those can be some things to kind of make one tractor a little bit better than the other, but they're all, as far as I'm concerned, better than the 20-year-old ST35 that I'm using today, especially with the four-wheel drive not being reliable. As I'm looking through the video, I'm watching it over again to make sure I didn't say or do anything really crazy. I don't want to put any tractor manufacturers down too much. I'm just looking at the reputation that they have online, in person, with friends, talking to other people who've owned their tractors. I'm not trying to bash them at all. I just see as this manufacturer is okay, this dealer's okay, these are a little bit better. So I want that to be the thing, is I want something that's as positive as possible, and I'm not trying to throw a lot of shade at all these other manufacturers. Honestly, I've looked at these units from Branson to John Deere, from Kioti to Kubota, from Massey Ferguson to Mahindra, TYM, RK tractors, LS tractors. My point is that the tractor manufacturers make a good product. It's just whether or not they stand behind that product later when it can be kind of expensive or inconvenient. Do they have good communication? And is your local dealer and the network of dealers overall pretty good, so that there's parts availability when you need something in the future? Let's jump into it and talk about each individual tractor that I came across in my research. I've been considering two different paths with my property and taking care of it. I can either get a bigger tractor than what I have now, going into a utility class, getting more weight, wider, more capacities as far as lifting, just heavier duty in general, and trying to reclaim the land that hasn't been taken care of for 30 or 40 years before I owned it. Or I can actually go a little bit smaller on a tractor and just try to maintain what I've got with that tractor, but then rent bigger equipment to do any serious ground engagement. If I need to rent a skid steer or a mini excavator, I could go that path. Might save me some money. I think long term that might be a good idea, or going with a utility tractor might be a better idea. I think the utility tractor is going to be a lot more durable, but still not quite a skid steer or a mini excavator for taking care of some of the projects. So it's kind of a trade-off either way. That's what's been going through my mind, and looking at this utility class shootout of 12, 13, 14 different brands, and either their biggest compact if that's all they offer, or the entry-level utility tractor in their brand. The first tractor that we're going to talk about as far as the competitors go, and we're going to do this in rounds, so we'll probably eliminate a few tractors every round. Round one, right off the bat, sorry Branson, I'm going to eliminate you guys. There's going to be several eliminated this round because they don't truly have a utility class tractor. The 5835R is, from my understanding, a very heavy duty, very competitive tractor at the top end of the compact tractor class, but it is a compact tractor. So regardless of your reputation for building good, heavy, strong units with a lot of times more options standard than what your competitors offer, Branson, I'm sorry, but you're out of the competition because it's not really a utility class tractor. The CT5558 Bobcat, the pictures that I found online of it, and you look at their website, it was a cab tractor. It looks about the same size as the Branson. Nice size tractor, looks really well built. Never really got up close to one personally, but it really still isn't a utility class tractor, and I don't think Bobcat's been in the tractor market long enough for there to be consistency on getting the service that you want with warranty work if you have warranty needs, and the parts availability might be a little bit scarce. I hear that the Bobcat tractors are just white Kiotis, so the parts availability is probably a little bit better than what I'm thinking in my mind. If that is true, I think it is a Daedong model, which is the company that owns Kioti. The next tractor to get eliminated in round one is going to be the Yanmar YT359, which, according to their website, is the largest tractor that's offered by Yanmar right now. Now, Yanmar has manufactured tractors for other brands before. Most people are familiar with John Deere carrying Yanmar tractors in their compacts and subcompacts over the last however long. I don't know if it's still going on, but there are a lot of tractor manufacturers that use Yanmar engines. The diesel engines are very well known. RK tractors from I think the 19 horse up through the 55 horse all use Yanmar engines, and they have an 8-year powertrain warranty. So Rural King really believes in the engine, and a lot of people love Yanmar diesels. Unfortunately, it's still not a utility tractor. I don't see a lot of Yanmar branded tractors around in the area, and don't have any experience with a dealer, don't even know of one around, although I have heard there's one within a 90-mile radius of where I live. I don't think that's the best choice for me to go back into even a heavier duty or more horsepower compact. I really want to step it up into the utility class. So a lot of these guys are getting eliminated just because they don't offer something, regardless of the resale value, regardless of the dealer, regardless of the manufacturer, warranty, any of that stuff. You're just getting eliminated right off the bat because you don't really have a tractor in that class. Now, the ones that I have seen, I have looked at the Bransons, I have looked at the Kiotis and the compacts, Rural King, I've looked at the Yanmar diesel engines, and I believe these are very well made tractors, but still not what I'm looking for. So when I've taken those tractors out and I've eliminated it down to a few more tractors, I still have to eliminate some of those, and what I'm really going to start diving into at this point, either I believe the tractors are truly a utility class, or they're just they just made it through round one. And the first one that gets eliminated in round two is going to be the Mahindra 5555. I looked close at this, but the closest Mahindra dealer to me stopped carrying Mahindra because Mahindra started getting a reputation of not honoring warranty work and fighting the dealer and fighting the customer. And honestly, when I start to hear that and I read reviews where other people are saying the same thing, and I watch YouTube videos of people complaining about that, then I'm just going to stay away from that brand. I know there's a lot of people out there that have Mahindras, have great experiences with them. They're very heavy duty tractors, and they have great experiences with them, and that's awesome. But it seems to be a growing concern with a lot of people that Mahindra is not stepping up to the plate when there is an occasional warranty repair. So Mahindra, I like a lot of your tractors, but you're out. The next tractor that gets eliminated is the TYM T654. I was looking at that through brochures and online and trying to read more reviews, but there just aren't very many of them out there. TYM has made a lot of tractors for other brands. I think Mahindra, some of their compacts are TYM, and Rural King tractors, RK tractors, made by TYM as well. The T654 is close to the size that I'm looking for. I was never looking for a cab, and that's the only pictures I could find of that specific model that were easy to put into this slideshow. There aren't enough dealers around here. The one dealer that's a TYM dealer doesn't carry very much inventory, and they just started, so I'd like to see more of these tractors out in the market before I would roll the dice and buy one of them. That's nothing on them. They're just kind of new to having their label out there, and in my opinion, I just don't see enough of them. So concerns about dealers sticking around, concerns about the brand honoring warranties. I just don't hear enough about them to make that decision, so I'm going to back away from TYM. Unfortunately, the RK tractors are getting eliminated this round as well. The RK55 looks like a great tractor. Watching Outdoors with the Morgans, Mike Morgan makes the tractor look pretty beefy, does a lot of work with it. I've been up close, looked at these tractors. They look very well made, and a lot of the options, what would be considered options on other tractors, are just standard equipment for these, and they seem very nice. The RK74, I just read like a week or two ago that it is being discontinued from selling through RK tractors. I guess they just don't have enough sales, so they're going to focus on the smaller tractors, and I've heard they're going to expand a little bit of the line at the lower level, but I'm not looking for lower level tractors. I'm looking for utility. Also eliminated in round 2 is going to be LS tractors. The XU61 series, I think the 6158 I was looking closest at. Gosh, in reading reviews on these tractors, it's like half the people that have had the tractors absolutely love them, don't have any problems with them, they've got good dealer support. But the other half have not got along with their dealers, or their dealer disappeared about 6 months after they bought the tractor, or if they had a small problem with the tractor, they have a lot of trouble getting a hold of LS because their dealer's gone. And from what I hear, LS Tractors is not really taking care of their customers on warranty work, at least about half the reviews that I read. So maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's bad news travels pretty fast, and people that are angry tend to get a little bit louder than people that are just basically satisfied with the value of the product that they bought. But I don't really want to roll the dice there either. LS Tractor makes some good looking tractors, and a lot of people do really like them, but sorry LS, you're getting eliminated at this point. Finally, we get to round 3. We're knocking out some of the brands, some of the manufacturers of tractors because they just don't make one big enough. We're knocking out a few others because when you look at the reviews of the tractors, either their dealers aren't sticking around long enough or the manufacturer isn't honoring warranties. What I come to next is Kioti, and I think they're getting recognized more and more. They make a pretty good tractor. The tractors themselves have very good reviews, but having a lot of parts out there in the field, having a good network of dealers, I think they're still growing, and I think they're still having some of those growing pains. A lot of people love their tractors. I think they look really nice. I did check a few of the tractors out. The RX series, I think the 6620 is probably what fits my needs the best. I think the 7320 is really nice as well, and I think that's the tractor that I looked at. It was a cab model, but a lot of things are similar. Again, it's one of those tractors that they're really trying to get their name out there, and they make a lot of what other manufacturers consider options standard on their tractors. Some of those are just kind of ergonomic features, makes it a little bit easier to use, makes it a little bit more comfortable, or makes it a lot more functional, and it helps you get work done a lot faster. I'm really impressed with where Kioti has come, how far they've come. But again, I don't think the parts and the dealer support, I don't hear enough about it to say that it's really impressed a lot of people. And maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Kioti would be a stronger option and make it through to another round if I were considering this again. Now, Case and New Holland, part of CNH Industrial, that's Case, New Holland. I'm going to just group these two together just for the sake of it, keeping it brief. The Workmaster 50, 60, and 70 of New Holland, and the Case Farmall 50A, 60A, 70A are tractors that I considered, and some of their specs look pretty good, but if you get up close to the tractors, they look like they were engineered 10 or 15 years ago, and they're not really trying to keep up with even manufacturers that don't play as big a part in the tractor market. The Kioti LS, RK tractors, they're offering things standard that you don't see on New Holland and Case tractors as normal equipment. And just the design in general just seems like it's a little bit older. Okay. So, Case and New Holland, outside of those options, I've been reading a lot of bad reviews where Case New Holland it's owned by Fiat. They're not really stepping up to the plate and keeping people happy when they need warranty work done. They've left a lot of people out to dry, and there are a lot of YouTube videos out there, if you look for them, where people were very dissatisfied with the customer service, and in a lot of cases they really like their dealer, and they've had a good relationship for a long time with their Case dealer or their New Holland dealer. But there's enough what some people will call horror stories out there to really dissuade somebody who's looking to spend quite a bit of money on a new tractor and is concerned maybe that manufacturer won't back them up if they need something. So getting down to this last group of tractors, and I'm still looking at series, but I'll get specific to one particular model when I get down to the last two competitors. Unfortunately, one of those last two competitors is not going to be John Deere. Everybody likes John Deere, right? I mean, except for the people that don't. But that green paint just seems like it's a lot more expensive than all the other paints. You get that name, and they have a good dealer network. The dealers have been in business for a very long time in my area. Everybody recognizes John Deere, so you assume the parts are going to be available, and they honor warranty work. Very good on customer service from what I've heard. Unfortunately, their tractors are quite a bit more expensive, and you don't always get everything that you would assume would be standard on a tractor in 2021. Sometimes it's an option you have to pay more for. And one of the other things that really bothers me about John Deere is their loader attachment. Yeah, you can get the quick attach, but it comes standard with John Deere's own attachment for buckets on the loaders and bale spears and any other equipment like that that's going to attach to the loader. It just attaches differently because John Deere wants you to come back to them to buy your attachments. I'm not a fan of that. When an industry has something that is a standard and everybody can use it, and it just makes it a lot easier on the end user and the owner of that equipment, stick with it. Make it easy. Don't drive yourself out of part of your market just because you want to. Don't be like Apple. Okay, there are a lot of people that love Apple, they'll always do Apple. There's people that love John Deere, will always go to John Deere. Maybe that's enough to keep them in business. But for me, from the outside looking in and considering which tractor I want to go with, when I see some of these habits that I don't like with John Deere, unfortunately, I'm going to stay away from John Deere. And so that's the last tractor that I can eliminate in this video, and it comes down to two different tractors. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce that down to specific models within these two manufacturers. It's going to be Kubota, and I really like the M7060, and Massey Ferguson with the 2607H. When I start comparing these two, a lot of features that I really like. The 7060 for Kubota has a power shuttle and a 12x12 transmission. The 2607H has only an 8x8 synchronized shuttle. So you do have to hit the clutch. I find myself doing that all the time anyway, so it's probably not an issue. It is a dry clutch from what I've read, and because it is a hydraulic shuttle shift on the Kubota, it's a wet clutch. You probably get a few more hours out of that clutch, but for the amount of time that I'm going to be using the tractor, I don't think that'll be a big issue for me. When I compare the specs on the tractors, the Kubota lifts a little bit more on the loader and the 3-point hitch. I don't see myself having to lift a whole lot more, and the difference there, I think, with the loader is less than 500 pounds. The weight of the tractor seems to be one thing that I've focused on more than anything else, because I've always run out of traction before I ran out of power, and I'm not always lifting really heavy stuff. Occasionally I'm dragging really heavy stuff, and the weight of the tractor helps more. And the Massey Ferguson 2607H is, I believe, a little over 800 pounds heavier than the Kubota M7060, and has a better warranty. When we get down to warranty, now that I've narrowed down tractors and what I think is probably suitable for me, I look at Kubota and I see a 3-year powertrain warranty, whereas Massey Ferguson has a 5-year powertrain warranty. Okay, Kubota is very well known for having reliable tractors. They have pretty good customer service and a pretty good dealer network. My closest Kubota dealer has a great reputation. So do the couple of Massey Ferguson dealers that are within 30, 40, 50 miles of my house. You could say if you're only going to set up a 3-year warranty for your equipment, at least of a tractor in that size or that class for Kubota, do you not believe that your tractor is going to last longer? Or are you saying that it doesn't need a warranty because it's going to last longer? I don't know, you could look at it a couple of different ways. All I can see is that one manufacturer is willing to stand behind their product for at least 5 years. The other one's only willing to stand behind their product for 3 years. Big bonus to Massey Ferguson on that. And another thing that really concerns me is the emission system. The diesel particulate filter on the Kubota occasionally is going to have to go through a regen mode, even though they're trying to save emissions for these Tier 4 standards and filter out a lot of the pollution, I guess, from the diesel engine. Eventually that starts to clog up, so it injects diesel fuel into that diesel particulate filter and goes through a high rev burning process to get those particulate things, whatever, to burn out that pollution that's already been captured. So you have to burn more fuel to burn off pollution that's going out into the air anyway. Not really sure how that's really any better. But Massey Ferguson doesn't have a diesel particulate filter, so it has no regen mode. It has a diesel oxidation catalyst and some exhaust recirculation that helps it burn clean enough that it doesn't have to go through a regen mode. That diesel oxidation catalyst, from what I understand, is like a catalytic converter for a car, so it's probably going to outlast a lot of the other things that you're going to start getting concerned with on a tractor before that part becomes an issue. Just like a catalytic converter on a car, that's not one of the first things that you're probably going to have to replace when it starts to show some age. So, big plus to Massey Ferguson again. Massey Ferguson has weight. Massey Ferguson has a better warranty. Massey Ferguson has no DPF and no regen mode. Kubota, you've got probably a little bit better resale value long term right now because the Kubota compact tractors are very, very popular. Maybe a little bit more parts availability on that specific model because they probably sold more of that tractor. There's just more of them out there. But Massey, I can't really say anything negative about the tractor in general other than the lift capacity and 3-point capacity are not quite as much as the Kubota, but it's not a big enough difference to really say it's a bad thing. There's just a difference. Really, if you want to talk about somebody who's leading in the hydraulics, it looks like Kioti is. So if you really want to lift as much as possible for a tractor in about the same class, about the same price range, go back and pull Kioti off of the eliminated list and start looking heavily at those tractors. So let's do a head-to-head comparison here. I've had a spreadsheet that I've kind of been collecting all of the specs of different tractors on. If we look at those specs and compare them side by side with the Massey Ferguson 2607H and the Kubota M7060, there's some things that the Kubota wins on and there's some things that the Massey wins on. So I'll put that up and you guys can take a look at that and say, hey, what's more important to you? The last thing that I want to talk about with Massey and Kubota as the two final contenders here is that Massey Ferguson, on most of the stuff that I've been quoted and told by a couple of different dealers versus the dealers that I've worked with and talked to about Kubota, Massey Ferguson is $6,000 cheaper right off the bat. Even if Kubota holds a little bit more of its value long term, you paid $6,000 more for it to hold its value longer term. But I think Massey's recognized very well. A lot of people like the 100 series, the Massey Ferguson 135. Most people have run into one of those or been on it or used one or their neighbor had one at some point in their life if they're in a rural area. It's like a Ford 8N. You just see them everywhere. The Ford 8Ns, the Massey 135s. Massey's have been around. And in my area, a lot of people said before John Deere started growing in the last 30 years or so with all these compact tractors, it was Massey country. At least that's what I've been told. I don't know, I was born in '83, so don't remember back too far. An important thing to remember in all this, please don't take this as me bashing any of these brands. There are a lot of good tractors out there made by a lot of different companies. I really, really like John Deere. I really, really like RK tractors. There's other brands that there's things about them that I really like, the way they look, the way they operate, they're comfortable, or the options that they've made standard, good horsepower, good weight, good hydraulics. There's a lot of great things all across the board, but I've got to narrow it down, so I had to pick on the things that I came across in my research that, hey, it was just enough negative to say you didn't make it past this stage. So please, if you work for one of these companies, either you're a rep or you're a dealer or you work in one of the factories putting these things together. I mean no disrespect towards anybody. I've got to make a decision, and so when I find negative things in my research, then I've got to bring that into the consideration as well. So please don't look at this as bashing a brand. Look at it as an opportunity of, hey, this is what you want to work on to be considered maybe equal to or above other manufacturers, other dealers in providing a tractor to the market. So now that we're down to the final two tractors, in my opinion, who are competing head to head for my decision on what tractor I'm going to get, where do you think I was wrong? What do you think you would change about that? And which one do you think of those two should win? And why? And maybe you're an LS Tractor fan, or maybe you're a Mahindra fan, or whatever else. Give some information in the comments section about what you like best about yours and good experiences you've had, or maybe you've had another tractor that you had a lot of bad experiences with the manufacturer or with the dealer. Comment down below and tell us what was your experience. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you know when I make more content. And hopefully I'll be getting better and better and give you guys more information and have more fun. And as the weather warms up, get back in the barn and start fabricating some stuff. Have a great week.